The Holy Gospel according to Luke, the 2nd chapter. Now every year, Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up as usual for the festival. When the festival was ended and they started to return, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem, but his parents did not know it. Assuming that he was in the group of travelers, they went a day's journey. Then they started to look for him among their relatives and friends. When they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem to search for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished. And his mother said to him, "Child, why have you treated us like this? Look, your father and I have been searching for you in great anxiety." He said to them, "Why were you searching for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" But they did not understand what he said to them. Then he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was obedient to them. His mother treasured all these things in her heart. And Jesus increased in wisdom and in years and in divine and human favor. The Gospel of our Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Please be seated. If I hadn't told you already during the announcements, would you have known that it is still Christmas? Most of the decorations are still up at my house, even though this little voice in my head wants things tidy and says, we could put those away. It seems as though the decorations aren't as meaningful when all of the holiday pizzazz is over. It's like the crash off a sugar high, and while you're sad it's over, you desperately need a nap. Some of us are more than ready for Christmas to be over. We're tired, our wallets are drained, and perhaps 2018 simply brought too much grief, too much stress, just too much. And still, a voice whispers fervently, "It's still Christmas." Perhaps you're like me and you're anxious to get your planner ready for a new year, as 2019 is just 2 sleeps away. We are busy writing down our resolutions and thinking hopeful thoughts about what we might accomplish with the fresh pages before us. But believe it or not, just 1 week ago, we were celebrating the long-awaited baby in a manger. And now today, we're just thrust into the teenage years of Jesus. In a moment's time, a baby becomes a teenager and is on his way to becoming a 30-year-old man who is ready to teach and lead others in the mission of God. But it's still Christmas. We are allowed to simply sit in this place, to sing Christmas songs, fresh with hope. We are allowed to take a moment and to ponder like Mary, the beauty of these fleeting moments. Mary is good at that, taking time to breathe in and out, to ponder what God is up to treasure, and to trust the beauty and the messy beauty of all of it. to engrave such memories into her heart. I mean, was she ready for visits from angels? Was she ready for the birth pangs and the cold straw that cradled the very Son of God? Was she ready for smelly shepherds to gather around her after being summoned by a heavenly host? Was Mary ready for sleepless nights, skinned knees, and growing pains? Was Mary ready for a sassy, know-it-all teenager who didn't tell her where he was? Was she ready to raise the Son of God? Was she ready to lose her mind thinking that she lost Jesus on a road trip? Was she ready to let her son loose into a big world that couldn't quite love him as much as she did? Are we ever ready for what life throws at us? Are we ever ready to watch our children grow up so quickly, or to suddenly find ourselves in retirement looking toward a new path? Some of you might say yes to the retirement part. Are we ever ready for grief that comes like a thief in the night? Are we ready to find out we didn't make the callback list for the high school musical? And let's be honest, are we ever really ready for finding out the results on a 2-minute pregnancy test? Or for the phone call with the x-ray results? I'm not sure we are ready. And I think that's why I'm so drawn to Mary. I'm ready to sit at her feet and to learn from her as she practices, just steeping herself in all the moments that life throws at her. I find it amazing that this little tidbit about Mary pondering and treasuring even makes it into the Bible. It's mentioned once after Jesus is born in chapter 2, and once again after being overcome with fear of worry for her son in this passage today. So maybe it's important that we are reminded that Mary was just a person, just like you and I, trying to make sense of what life is throwing at her, and trying to make sense of where God is in the midst of it all. I think this is a gentle reminder that we pay attention. Like Mary, we are called to be light bearers in this dark world. We are invited to pay attention to where we see Jesus showing up and how Jesus might be using us, teaching us, and molding our hearts. Because, let's face it, it is so easy to live life on cruise control. It's easy to keep the to-do list going, to crash into bed every night and just get up and do it all over again. While waiting at the dentist, you could sit with your thoughts, but instead it's easier to zone out and watch the news on the TV above you. You could spend time thinking about your life and where God is in it all, but while you're driving in the car on your commute. But it's way more fun, it seems, to jam out to the favorite song on the radio. You could take a moment at the end of the day and sit and wonder and ponder. But usually there's something more distracting, like Facebook, fantasy football, homework, dishes. I think you can fill in the blank. Sitting in silence with our thoughts and with God can be uncomfortable, and it can even feel weird if we do not practice it. But the good news for us this day is it is still Christmas. And like Mary, we too are given a gift. We are given the opportunity to ponder what God has done and is doing in our life so that we might be changed and our hearts might be opened. Perhaps Mary might also inspire you to take more time to ponder. And I'm even giving you a deal. You can start the resolution before the calendar flips to 2019, because I'm going to make you do it today. One of my favorite preachers and writers, her name is Caroline Lewis, and she writes this: "Sit beside the manger for a few more minutes, maybe holding a piece of hay or two in your fingers, wondering. Keep company with Mary just a little longer." Here is my gift to you. I am going to invite you all into a holy space and a holy time to sit with your thoughts. And for those of you who are uneasy with silence, I'm going to set the timer or watch my clock for 3 minutes. I invite you to think, to ponder, and to wonder with Mary. And I have a few questions for you to think about, because this isn't always easy. What has surprised you lately? What has brought you joy this year? What has broken your heart this year? How has your life been changed by Jesus? How is God using you? What brings you hope? Okay, I'm giving you 3 minutes. I invite you to pray with me. Oh God, I thank you, we thank you for the gift of your Son, who comes to us as a baby in a manger, and who lights up our world and helps us to see goodness and hope and joy in the midst of darkness and suffering. Thank you for the gift of this church and the people here who seek to praise you on this cold December day. Enliven our hearts and help us to see you at work in our life. In your name we pray. Amen. And let's face it, when Mary was pondering, there were cows mooing, there were shepherds probably grumbling and chatting, and maybe there were a bunch of children laughing and playing. And so we know that we do not need silence to ponder, that we as community can ponder with the heavenly chorus around us. All right, let's sing together. It came upon a midnight clear, hymn number 282.